Okay, we're going to get started here. It is April 28th, or today we're going to be going over the complete race night, building an entry list, sanction specific lineups for both WISSOTA and IMCA, using MRP Live with Westhold and Mylaps integration, and results, points, and payouts. So we're going to get started. If you have any questions, you can hit Alt and H to bring up the chat window. Some of you have asked some questions already. I do see those, and I will be answering any questions that you have here throughout our call here today. So we'll get started here by going into race management, and we are going to get started. So I'm going to be working in this 410 wing sprint class. We have a lot of different options as to what we want to do about pill draw and what we want to do about transponders. So for pill draw, your options are to not have it at all, which is pretty straightforward. The fast check-in process, which will just draw a number for us without anything happening. We can do it before we pick a driver. We can have the driver hit a button, a window will pop up and the driver will hit a button. We can manually put in the number after the driver's checked in, and then we can draw a number using the system this way after we pick a driver. And this one's also manual entry of drivers. I'm going to use the fast check-in process. I'm going to draw some pill numbers here just so that I can show off a few different lineups. I'm also going to be using the IMCA lineup, which won't need me to use a pill draw. In that case, you would just use a no pill draw option, but because it uses 3-week point averages, but I'm going to be using other ones that need it, just so you know. That's why I'm going to be doing that here. We're going to be, we have a maximum pill size here, so I can draw this as high or as low as I want. And I can also do what's called a rebase pill, so I can set a new low number. So if I put 50 into here, 50 is the best number that you could draw, and 49 would be the worst. It kind of wraps around there. I'm also going to be using transponders. If you don't have transponders, by all means, to use no transponders. You can also allow rentals or not allow rentals. The difference here is it's just going to have a check box here where you can allow for rentals. And it'll also put that on the report for transponder list. You have that rental report there. So there we are. We're going to go into MRP Live now. I'm going to get started and open up the Mylaps system that I'm going to be using today. And I'm also going to open up, when I get to it, I'll do part of the race in Orbits and part of the race in Westhold. So I'll open up my Orbits right up here. I'm going to hit Launch from Web. When I hit Launch from Web, it's going to open up and try to connect this for me as best as it can. In this case, here we're going to change up some settings. So I am using Orbits. Here in the scoreboard settings is where we're going to find what we're going to need. So we can enable the scoreboard feed. We need to do that. That's what it's going to be picking up on. So make sure that's enabled. I've copied the IP address here, and I've put that right here. There's a TCP IP port. Whatever that number is in this box, you copy it and put it here. Make sure you're selecting the right thing here. For the connection code, when you hit launch from web, it'll copy that in here. If you just want to open it up, you can also just copy and paste that into this box as well. And then the assignments path. Now for me, I have a folder on my desktop that I just add events to whenever I need them. So here we go. This is going to be where it's going to put files into this when we send them. So I generally just have each race as its own file inside the system. That way I know, everything's archived. So I just recommend doing that. Just make sure it's somewhere you can find it when you send the lineups. We'll hit connect. It'll be connected, ready to go. I do recommend doing this before you start checking in drivers just to make sure everything's good here. You do have about 2 hours of it not picking up anything before it will disconnect due to inactivity. So you have a little bit, so make sure you can get everything set up and ready to go beforehand. I do it, like I said, first thing, make sure that's all taken care of and out of the way. We can hide it and move on to our entries. So in here are all of my drivers for this class. It's actually going to be pulling the drivers from this page right here, this manage drivers. And I'm going to sort here by the class. So all these 410 wing sprint drivers, these are all of my drivers. This is the default car number and default transponder numbers for them. You can actually change them in here if you need to. So you do have that there. So if yours appears blank, you can either enter them into the manage drivers here, or I would just use the online registration option, because as you're confirming drivers inside of online registration, it will confirm them and put them into the class list for here. It'll also show them. So if we were to click on a driver, shows that they've completed that registration, gets their address on file for us. Works out really well. So that'd be what you would do if it ended up being, if you don't see any drivers there, those are the two options for you. All right, so we got our driver here. I've just selected him. You can just click his name. I'll show you some faster ways of doing this here. So we're gonna see some things about Kale. He has the number 1. We've drawn a number for him automatically. He's pretty unlucky. I drew a 95. We can put an owner in here if we would like. So we have, if we click here, this is all of the owners that he's raced with in the past. We can also see all of the owners I have. We can create a new one if we'd like to. So let's just call it webinars. And it's going to find one for me automatically. Here we go. There's that webinars. We also can add, owners can own multiple cars. So you might see them in there multiple times. But just make sure you select that, and then we can select that the payout goes to the owner. We also can set this as a default. So every single time that we pick this, it's going to remember that and remember if we've paid the owner and who that owner was. So we can do that to save some time in the future. If you do online registration, it'll also pick up on that owner information, and the drivers can let you know who their owner is, what their contact information, address information is, and they can also set that up in advance for you as well. So more reasons to use online registration. We can also put in his transponder number here. I'm going to need to do that since I am using MRP Live. I'm going to be using the, this is actually the long transponder numbers. So these are the full numbers for me. And because I'm limited by the demo mode for these transponders, I am only going to be entering in just 10 drivers. So they're all going to be 1001 through 1010. We can set it as a default, so if he owns his own transponder, we can put that in here. We can also rent the transponder out. If this was a rental, we could mark that. We'll keep track of that for us as well. The last option here is this lineup override. So we can start him at the back of heats and the back of all races. So if he was to show up late, or a lot of different things there he could do. Showed up late, we just don't like him, whatever the case may be, we could set him to the back there for all the races. We can also see that he has claimed his profile. We did have his address on file, and like I said, we got that through his online registration right here. So that online registration gave us this address, and he has claimed his profile, which I'll show you what that means here in just a second. So as I said, we can filter these drivers out here. So if we just wanted to go with Mark Moose, we can search by first name, last name, or car number in this box, and I'll filter them out. check in everything, see if everything looks okay. It will let me enter them in here. Just make sure you don't have a duplicate car number or a duplicate transponder number. But that's not the only way that we can enter in a driver. We can also do what's an import from a previous race. So if I had a 2-day show that went Friday into Saturday, I knew a lot of the same drivers were going to be there. We could just copy them over from one day to the next. Just pick the day that they had, copy them over. It'll copy over the transponders, the pill numbers, car numbers, and the drivers themselves. Whomever you'd like, it'll copy them directly over. So you can do that. You also can do here, if we don't have if you're not able to see a specific driver, you can do the search up here. And it'll search through the MyRacePass network and let you find that driver. And if a driver does not exist in the system, you're able to create a new driver for use in the system as well. Some things I will kind of warn about that. So make sure when you're entering in a new driver, make sure that you search last name first is a big one. You're going to want to try to avoid duplicate drivers because, for example, if this was a Marcus Moose and you searched by Marcus and you created a new one, it will treat them as though they were two separate people. So their points will go to two separate spots. It'll cause a lot of problems. So don't do that. A better thing to do is this scan barcode too. This will help eliminate a lot of duplication. So I mentioned that each of these drivers had claimed their profiles. So when you do that, when they claim their profile inside the MyRacePass app, they have their own barcode in there. They can go down to NRP hard cards, and they're able to get scanned right from their phone. That'll pull up the correct driver every time. Doesn't even have to be a driver that's raced with you before. It will have their information there for you, and it can pull them in there for you. It's free for the drivers to claim their profile, lets them share results and points, and not only does it speed things up for you to scan them, but it makes sure that you're not duplicating somebody by mistake. Drivers who race in a sanction, so either they are a USRA or a WISSOTA driver, get those hard cards in a physical form, those cards themselves. They get those with their license. So make sure that, if you are a sanctioned track with either WISSOTA or USRA, make sure you get those scanners. You can scan their cards. Every driver will have them. Make sure that they have that license information there. Also make sure if you're entering in a driver, if this is a sanctioned race, it will tell you if they have a license down there at the bottom. So right here, it'll tell you if they are a sanctioned driver for that specific class. And it'll also let you, if they don't have a license, put in either a override, a membership bypass, or a temp license. Make sure you're putting in the correct one. Your respective sanction is keeping track of that, and it does. They are going to be, if you're putting in temp license, make sure you put in that temp license. And the membership bypass should be only used if it'd be used rarely. It'd be the kind of thing like if they bought a license right on the way to the track about 30 minutes before they showed up, that kind of thing. So let's check this guy in. The last way we can check in drivers is the speed entry button right here. So with that, as long as I don't have a duplicate car number or a duplicate transponder number, it'll just let them check themselves in here. We can do that if I really knew all of these drivers and knew everything was good with them. So I'm going to enter in some transponder numbers. I already had a 4. I'm missing an 8. But again, if you have any questions, you can hit Alt and H. And that'll bring up the chat window if you do have any questions, and I do see some questions coming in there. Okay, so let's move right along here. We can add races here. So we're going to set up our race night. So for us, we're going to be using a couple different ones, but we can do one heat, an A feature, and I had a request to do a B feature. So we will do that. So we can put in the number of heats here. So how many people are going to be going, or how many heats we're going to do. I only have 10, so makes that real straightforward. We can put in our laps, probably not 54. That's a little excessive. And we can put how many go to tech right here. I can click add. Okay, so here we're going to set up how many transfer. So what's important here is that we can set up who moves on to each next race. So we can set up here. So if I did all, no one's going to the B feature right now because everyone's going to go to the A. This is going to be per race. So if I set 5, 5 would go to the A feature. Next, all to the B would send everyone to the B. And then from the B, we can set however many people go to the A. Pretty straightforward there for how to transfer individuals from A to B. From there, it's pretty much just running the races. Once the transfers are set, making sure everything's, you're using the right lineups and things like that. We have 2 different types of lineups. It's going to be per race and from group. So the from group is going to be used for passing points. The difference is, so 5 per race here would give us 10. It's going to give us the best 5 from heat 1, best 5 from heat 2. 5 from group would just give us 5, the best 5 in passing points. For now, I'm going to just do, we'll keep it for now. We're just going to send no one to the A. We'll send everyone to the B. So everyone has to run a B feature. A little unorthodox, but I'll show you where all the different lineups and everything are. We also can rename these, so you can put in a sponsor here. We also can put them 1, 2, or 3 wide if they need to. Same with any of these races. They're going to default to 2 for pretty much every race type. And if you need to, you can always add different races here too. So we have more than what I've done here. We have dashes, qualifying, specials, and hot laps. You can go all the way down to a Z feature if you'd like to. And if you do have a Z feature at any point in time, just let me know because I've never seen one before. And I'm just really interested to see how that would work. That's really all there is to it on that. So let's go into our lineups. From here, we can see all of the entrants that have entered in here. We could enter them in manually, move them around, by clicking and dragging them where they need to be. But a faster way to do this would be to calculate lineups. From here, we have a short list of lineups that we're using. And I can actually show you here inside of lineup settings. Inside of here, we have all of the lineups that we have in the system. So these are every A, every B, every C, so on and so forth. And you're able to select the lineups that you're more likely to use by just clicking on here, and that adds them to that favorites there. You're also able to change the name on those as well. So when we calculate lineups, I have a list of lineups that I use. So if I was using the WISSOTA heat lineup, I could just use the WISSOTA lineup and calculate, and it creates that. We have a how is this calculated. You can see that's going to be based straight up on that pill draw. We can do an IMCA point average heat. That's going to be a little bit different. It's going to change them around. That's going to be based on their 3-week point average, which you can actually see inside of the reports here. We can pull up that point average and why it is. So I'm going to just pick one here. Those are going to be the two ones that I have there. So the sanction specific. So if you are sanctioned by either IMCA or WISSOTA, and it is a sanctioned class, make sure you're using the correct ones, lest they be angry at you. So try to try to make sure you're kind of following along there. So I had a question if we had quick reference card to hand out to people to get them online and claim their profile. I believe we can get something rustled up for you to send out. If you email me or email support@myracepass.com, we can get you, just so that we have a record there, we can get you to the correct person and get those out to you, or get something out to you, I suppose. So at long last, well, a couple things. We're going to share these out too. We can share these to Facebook and Twitter right from here. As I calculated those lineups, it did actually create those and put them on to the app. So if you're following along on the app, you can actually see the lineups being created right now. So it did that for us. And now we can send the lineups. So the lineups will be sent. And now this is where we'll go back to MRP Live, and inside of Orbits, we can go into here. And when I did that, it sent that to, if you remember, when I had MRP Live connected, whichever folder I had to, what I selected there. So the folder on my desktop. So we are going to go into our Orbits folder right here today. Make sure that you import the runs, not the groups. You're going to import the runs. Going to import that over, and then every race that is active, it's going to export over. So that was just the one for me today, but if you had more, say you had more heat races, different classes, it'll do all of that at the same time. So we have that. I'm going to open up something that you won't need. This is just going to be for us because I don't have an actual race car here ready to go to demonstrate this. This is just going to simulate our race. So as this goes by, you can see here, this is what a fan or yourself, you can actually all see this inside of MRP Live if you're using the transponders. As they go around the track, you're able to see that update this right there for us. We're able to click and see more information about specific drivers, the same as your fans would as well. As we do changes, so if we were to throw a caution, it'll update that up here. It's actually going to probably auto finish here if I let it, because I put in how many laps, so it remembers and has done all that for me. Let's throw that flag here. Stop my simulation. And now, when we hit stop, it'll ask us if we want to stop the timing. We'll say yes. Hitting that stop button right there will allow us, when we go to results, to see this right up here. So when we see this right up here, you can click it, and that's going to import over all those results from that race. Here we're able to select if they didn't finish, didn't start, were disqualified, were black flagged, and if we're using passing points, and say we set someone to the back automatically or what have you, you can set this as no passing points, so they'll just get the position points and not the points for passing cars. We can drag this So let's say we can drag people up to the top. So if this guy had a transponder that fell off or he didn't charge it, we can click and drag him where he needs to be. And as soon as we hit save as completed, this will update this on the app as well. Had a question about what's the difference between black flag and disqualification. Black flag won't necessarily, they'll act a little bit different. So disqualification will automatically move someone to the back. A black flag won't. So this is just more for record keeping that they were black flagged. So most of the time it's probably going to be both. But since there's a wide array of disqualifications and there's a wide array of things that you could get black flagged for, we did want to collect that information for you so you can have a better list of what's happening there. But also, it's flexible. So let's unblack flag that gentleman. We'll move right back up into our lineups. It's going to go to the next race for us, which is going to be our B feature. So I'm going to there's a couple different ways that this could go down, but all of our B feature lineups are going to be here. So if you're doing a B feature, say it was just from the WISSOTA heats, it's just going to be a different lineup that you're going to do. If you're using passing points, you just be the one. Again, it's just going to be based on those passing points. If I try to do the passing points, it won't work as well because I didn't put it in this from group. So it won't work properly, but I can go back and show those there. So let's do the B feature here. Calculate. The B feature is calculated. It's good to go. And it's going to be a repeat of the process. So it's going to send lineups. And then if I'm using orbits, we'll import our groups and runs. Going to import our runs again. It's going to be in the same spot. Then our B feature. And then we could calculate that out here. So let's close the track simulator. And don't worry, all you Westhold folks, I'm going to run a really, really quick B feature. And after I run this B feature, I'm going to switch it over into Westhold and show what that would look like here. This division just keeps getting faster and faster every year, I swear. And there we go. Fastest B feature in Nebraska. We're going to hit stop. And again, just importing it over. And there you are. So again, this is not something that you would do during an actual race. This is just because it's a demonstration, but I'm going to open up Westhold and show the differences there for setup and things like that. So if you use Westhold, let's rewind there. So we're just going to rewind, do a little bit of a remember back when we were connecting with our MRP live. So same kind of deal. So we're just going to copy the IP address here. So this IP address, and inside this R monitor box, there's this TCP IP port. It's going to be different from this one. You want the one in the R monitor box. It's probably going to be 50,000. You're going to put that right there. The MRP live code, same thing. You're going to hit launch from web and it'll pull that code, or we could copy and paste it into here. The last one here, the assignments path, that's going to be a little bit different. So you can always be in a different spot. For me, my assignments path is inside the C drive. It's going to be wherever you saved your race manager. So inside of here, there's a folder called assign. You're going to select that and connect. You will also probably be a lot more neat about your past files than I will. I'm just going to remove these past files so you can kind of see how that works. All right. We'll go back to our lineups, back to the present, and we'll calculate lineups. If you're using the IMCA lineup, there's that IMCA point average feature. Again, it's going to get mad at me because it's not expecting a B feature there. It's going directly from the heats. You can select a lot of different ones. The heats and B lineup will work as well. It does want to have the heat there, so a lineup just from the heat. But essentially what you're going to be doing, I'm going to remove this B feature here, because normally you'd have people transfer out of your B feature or to the A. So you'd select a different lineup if it was directly. So just gonna change it up here. You normally don't send literally everybody into the B and then literally everybody goes out. That'd be a different kind of deal. Okay. All right, so we'd calculate that out. And again, the IMCA one will be right here. That's expecting to have someone from the heats, so you'll have them. Any B feature lineup where it says heats and Bs, we'll expect to have someone. So one person, literally anybody transferred out, the Bs would be onto the back. And that's all of these lineups will do. Passing points will work the same way. So yeah, the WISSOTA lineups will be there too, based on that average. All of these will have the how is this calculated, so you can see why it put the drivers where it put them. So you have a lot of them there. And you are able to, again, to send lineups, but this is going to be a little different because it's going to send to our race manager. And if you click out and back in, it'll refresh the page. You can see that A feature right here. And we can start it and pretty much score the race exactly the same way. So the same way it's going to score there for us. And it'll do this same thing in MRP Live. They work very similarly. We hit finish. And the same idea. So as soon as we hit finish, we have to hit the stop button. That lets it know that we're good. You can save this as if you want. I never need to save anything, so you always will see me cancel. You can totally save it. Nothing wrong if you do. I get that question quite a bit. So you can save if you want. I don't save because I don't need to. But either way, whether you do that or not, the latest pending race will be here. You can hit that. We'll calculate that out for us. Same idea. And now from here, we can do our points and pay. If you have any questions about those, let me know in the questions. I am going to do a passing point race though. So I'm going to set up something real quick and do some races in passing points. I'm going to do these without transponders, but I'm going to do more drivers here. So I'm just going to kind of quickly enter in some drivers. So if you have any questions, let me know. And we'll get to that in just a second. It's going to get mad at me because I'm using the same transponder numbers for a lot of these guys. Again, it doesn't like you to duplicate it. We want to make sure that you don't. So we have that here. Okay, 14. So we'll add in let's do 2 heat races. We'll do a B. And we'll do an A. We can put in our laps. This again would be for our, this will be on the app. So the more information that you have on these, the better. Same with how many go to tech. And then you can set up your transfers. So we can do from group. which I am going to do. So if we're doing a B feature passing points thing, 14 cars, I'm just going to take the top 5 automatically to the A, and then you can do the next all to the B. And depending on how you wanted to set up that B, how many would transfer? We have 5 already. Let's wait, 15. So let's take 8, and this can be per race. So this is going to take the last 8 and put them on the back there for those features. If you had multiple B features, you could do the same thing. So if I had 2 B features, I could just put 4, make sure the last 8 go to the back there. We'll put in our lineup. It's going to be the heat from pill draw. This would be how you do it manually if you didn't have transponders. You can either just click off to the side, or you can enter in the car numbers. I am very not fast at that, but I have seen some folks who can just fly with that kind of method. I generally just click, and then we can do our lineup. So for the B, if you're doing a passing point lineup, you're inside of points pay schemes, you're going to make sure that you have a lineup point scheme right here. That's going to be the direct passing points that it's using, because all of these are different, and most of these are global schemes. So to add those, you just use a global. You can scroll down. So ASCS heat passing points is one, USMTS. These WISSOTA passing points. All of them are slightly different, but to use a passing point scheme, you'll need to make sure one's added in. I have multiple. So when I use a passing point scheme, all of them are the same. They're going to use the points. The big difference is how it handles ties. So we have that passing points, calculate. It's going to ask me which one I want to use. If you only have one, it's just going to do just the one. Calculate. And here's all my gentlemen. You can see why it put them all there, what their passing points were. No one tied. Oh, well, we did have a tie. You can see that that tie was broken right by their pill number. And then when we do results, it's only going to take the best 8. So this guy is unlucky. And when you go back to the lineups, calculate your lineup. You just use that heat passing points. You can see where it's putting everybody. So we have our best 5, we have our best 8 from the B, and calculate it. Ask us what we want, which passing point we want to use. We use that, and then you'll see how's this calculated. Here's our best guys for our A features, or from the heats. So the best ones from the heats went here. All of these guys say 0 because they transferred directly from a B feature. So that would be a passing point with features here with a B. Save it. And now we can apply points and pay. So inside of here, we can have different points and pay schemes. So all of these are in the settings here. So I have some that are global, so some IMCA ones. These are no, we don't have any global payouts. These I created, but I have some there. And I'm just going to select the ones that are appropriate. So I'm going to use this point scheme and match it up with a pay scheme. Let's just use this one. We can apply it to competitors, owners, or teams. We can also uncheck anybody that we don't want to receive any money. We'll just hit add. And based on how we do that there, I'll set it up. You also notice that I have points and pay going to exactly this person here that didn't make it to the A. You can actually set it up that way inside your point scheme so that anyone that transfers out into the A from a B doesn't get points or pay. So it'll respect those transfers. So you can see the full breakdown there. We're able to create payments. Make sure that you do this, whether or not you do checks or not. Create payments works on the report at the end of the year. From here, you're able to export this out to QuickBooks. You're also able to create checks. The checks can use the pay from the or the addresses rather from online registration. So that's really nice. You're also able to print mailing labels from here too. So if you did want to mail the checks direct without a window kind of style, you can do that. And a question about which report you'd use if you wanted to have them sign off. There's a couple, but points by race or points pay awarded works out really nice. This one you can actually customize this one out. So it's just the owners, or just that. You can see my owners are listed out. You're also able to do by race. So this one will have the owner information on it as well. We can also switch it out so that it's multiple races per page or a specific type. So you can see all my points and pay that way. And these are all exportable. All of them are exportable to different file formats as well. A lot to Excel. We've added a lot more for that. Awesome. So I went through a lot there. But is there any specific questions that I can answer? I'm going to go back through and make sure I get to everyone's questions. You can hit Alt and H if you have any specific questions for me. I'm always happy to answer anything that you may have. Alt and H is the great place for those. Can also reiterate a few other things when we're doing that. So just give me one sec here to get a quick drink. Okay. So something else that you might be seeing from me here in a bit, we are going to be letting people know, because I'm sure I don't have to explain all of the craziness with everyone's situation. I'm sure everyone's well aware of the COVID and everything like that. But some things I've been noticing other tracks using. It's a bit off of what we have here, but using that online registration, I've brought it up a lot today. But for good reason. Using this online registration allows you to collect information on a per race basis. So if I wanted to, just this is one I set up here for a date here in the future. You could set that up and make sure that drivers are registered in advance. That lets you know exactly who's there. So if you needed to know exactly which drivers are going to be there so you can have an exact count, you can do that. And that's what I've seen. I've seen some where they have they can only allow 30 in a class. So what they'll do is, as the drivers register, they'll make sure they'll confirm everybody until they hit 30, and then they'll close it. Anybody that didn't make the cut of that 30, they'll let know, hey, you missed it there. You can collect payments. So all of that's done in advance. So all the payment collection is done. Nobody has to exchange any cash or card or check at the gate. You'll know exactly who's going to be there. And right along with that, I've seen people use online tickets for collecting of pit passes and for fans as well. You can set an exact quantity on how many fans are going to be at, or how many tickets you want to sell. So you could do the entire event that way and know exactly what that count of fans is going to be, and all you won't have to worry about funds or anything changing hands. Something I've been noticing, with with that, you're not putting anybody at risk, and depending on your state and local government, of course, but it's a way to comply and still have everybody be able to go out and get racing as well. So it is an option there, something to look into, that a lot of folks have been taking advantage of. And if you have any questions about that, let me know, and we can go over some of that or any other questions that you have. Alt&H is that place to do it. So Alt&H is the spot to ask questions there. I'm just going to leave it open for the next few minutes. I'll keep it open for longer if people do have questions. I will point out that we do have another one of these on Thursday. So that's going to be going over MRP Live troubleshooting, Westhold and Mylaps integration, an overview of online registration, what to do if you have duplicate profiles, rainouts, push notifications, different things like that. All going to be there. Questions. That's 3 questions. That's a lot of questions, people. So that means I'm serious. How special of a barcode scanner do you need? We recommend one that can scan phones. We have one that we recommend inside of here. You can actually search for scanners. That'll bring up a special. That'll bring up the link to that scanner you can get on Amazon. But really, just make sure that it can connect to a computer. If you have it connect to the computer that you're using, most of the time that's through USB. That's good to go there. I had a question about how to add a new admin. You're actually able to do that inside of here, this gear. Go into all settings and members right here, and you'll click add member. You just put in their email address and it'll do one of 2 things. So if they have an email already in the system, it'll link them together, and they won't need to do anything else. You can just set them as a standard admin, and then they can make changes. If they're not in the system at all, it'll send them an email so that they can create their password. You actually see all the admins right here, standard admins, people like that. Standard admins can change information. People who aren't standard admins cannot. Again, Alt&H for the spot to add in any questions. And then again, Thursday will be the next webinar, the last one in April, I promise. Don't think I could add another one in there if I tried. All right. Well, I think that's all the time that I have for today. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, support at myracepass.com. It's been great talking with y'all. This video, as well as all of the other past webinars, will be on our YouTube channel. You can find that at myracepass.com/YouTube, or if you're inside the system, you can actually click here and go to help videos, and you can find all those as well. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to listen to me talk, and have a great evening.